Welcome back, friends. Today we are going to be testing out some Himi paint brushes. So if you have watched any of my recent, what are they called? Shorts. I started doing this art challenge with myself where every single day until the end of 2022, I do create some piece of art to silence my inner critic. But I mainly, for convenience and also because I do like the quality, use these Jelly Gouache from Himi. And whenever I ordered these last year ago, year before that, however long I've had them, when I ordered this, they came with, I think they came with 3, but I don't know where the third one is. I currently just have these 2. I love these. I think that they work beautifully for acrylic wash and watercolor. Really enjoy using these, so I thought, let me see if they sell just the regular paintbrushes. They do. Himi Miya, it's kind of the same company. They make a ton of different art supplies, not just viral jelly gouache paints. So I saw that some of the paintbrushes were on sale, ordered them, and they came in, so I thought, let's test them out. I have 2 separate types of brushes, and for each of these brushes, I'm going to be using them, my 3 main paint mediums I usually use. On the same type of paper, mixed media paper, using gouache first, probably. Gouache first, like the Himi Jelly Gouache, then with pans of watercolors, and then with some regular acrylic, like tube paint, just to see how it does with all of those different types of paint. First though, let me show you what these brushes look like, because I was not expecting, like we'll use a regular mixed media sketchbook. This is a 5.5 inch by 8.5 inch sketchbook, like the normal, like I would say travel size. So these are the paint brushes that came with the gouache, up about that size, a little shorter, you know, a normal size. I just wanted to show you that in comparison to these giant paintbrushes. Look at this packaging. How beautiful is this? We have the illustration of the little bird. They come in different colors, and for these, I got the yellow. So the presentation is truly beautiful, and just so you know how it's going to be when you get them, they do have the protective cover on top. And they are hard brushes, so you will have to soften them. So this is a 12, a 9, 5, a 6, and a 10. And I'm not just like this magical all-knowing being. If you cannot see, it does have it plainly marked here what they are. So for me personally, that doesn't make a difference, but if you are in school and you need some paintbrushes that are like specific, these would be good for that. All right, and then we have the big ones. This is bigger than my head. I forgot to show you this reference to this. Like it's much larger than the ones that came with the kit. Giant. I know you saw in the thumbnail, but these are giant brushes. Still gorgeous packaging on these. And these, so these are the first ones are synthetic watercolor brushes. These are natural bristles. I've never used natural brush bristles before. Did I say that all in the right way? I feel I did. So I am looking forward to using these, packaged in the same manner. And these, again, came in different colors, but I picked up the blue because I thought that just like, it looked like an Easter egg, robin's egg. That's what they're called, not Easter egg, robin's egg blue. And I absolutely love that color of blue. And unlike the first set, they are not all wrapped. Only one has that wrap. It's the very fine point. So we have a 2, 0. Is that it? It just looks like a circle. So another 2, a 4, another 2, an 8, another 4. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm saying these numbers with the confidence that I know what they mean. I don't. So if you do know what they mean, let me know in the comments. A 5, a 1, and a 3. Now, I do have to say right off the bat, all of these do feel like they are good quality. I don't know exactly how they're going to perform once they're in the actual pigments, but they do feel like they're good quality. So my gut is telling me that these were good purchases. Let's see how they actually perform. like, I know you just saw it, it's been a few days for me because I did this over multiple days. These were done with watercolor. This one was done with the synthetic brushes, and this one was done with the natural brushes. So when we look at it, as far as like the pigmentation goes, I feel that they did really, really well, regardless of if it was natural or synthetic brushes. I do have to say though, which is something that I noticed here as well, we'll get into in a second. This is not the most detailed piece I know, but did a better job of having detail than the natural brushes. So this, I was looking at some coasters that I got from the Polynesian. So this is supposed to be like a tiki, but I kind of, not that I gave up halfway through, but I didn't make it as detailed as I wanted because I was only using these brushes and it was almost impossible to get detailed with these brushes. So when we go to the gouache, I just wanted to see with watercolor how detailed I could get with these. For gouache and acrylics, as you saw, I just did swatches. Here we have the synthetic brushes, and here we have the natural bristle brushes. So pigmentation is pretty much, once again, the same on both. I was able to shear things out a lot easier with the synthetic brushes, get things a bit more uniform. So as you can see here, it looks a bit more jagged, and depending on the pigments, so like the pinks here, and I find this purple, it looks kind of streaky. And then whenever we go over to the acrylics, I was really like, because I didn't know that you could do this. So when we have the synthetic brushes overnight had gotten like back, like I just washed them, so they're still a little damp, but they had gotten hard again. They had reset themselves, like how they came in the packaging. So they were reset, and so I had to soak them again to soften them up to be able to use. And whenever I softened them up, they held onto the water so tightly that it was very difficult to not have any water transferred into the acrylics. I made watercolors. Like, how cool is that? Like, these look like watercolors. I didn't know I could do that. Anyway, here we're with the smaller brushes, as you saw. They did not stiffen back up, so I was able to use them with the acrylics like acrylics are meant to be used. You know how I feel about that. Use your art supplies in whatever way you would like. It is your creative ability. So you can see the pigment is a lot stronger here. And I find that the natural bristle brushes actually shine with the acrylics. So I have a good amount of texture here, and the colors are really bright. So some positive and negatives about both of the brushes. Let's go with the synthetic brushes first. As I said, the synthetic brushes held onto water very, very tightly. And that is one of the reviews that I read whenever I purchased them off of Amazon. And I was like, okay. But they do. They really do. And that is great for watercolor and for gouache, but I'm not exactly sure if I would use these for acrylic. I do think that the Himi synthetic brushes are good quality. They have a fine point. The bristles are, with the exception of like this one, they do a good job of like sticking together. They're not frayed. They didn't come frayed or anything like that. I do have to say though, they stained, and they stained with just watercolor. So if you are a person who doesn't like your brushes to stain, I would avoid these. Now, the natural bristle brushes, I liked them, especially with the acrylics, and actually only with the acrylics. I found that they did a good job of showing the pigmentation of all three different types of paints, but there is no way in the world that you can get, or at least I can get, a fine point. Detail work. There you go. That's the word I was thinking of. I don't think that you could get like a fair amount of detail work. And this is not like after I used them and washed them a few times. This is how they came. If you don't remember, this is how they came in the packaging. They're not, and from what I've seen like in actual art stores, that's how natural bristle brushes are. They're not fine brushes whatsoever. I mean, they're fine. They're good, but they're not like finely, like the bristles are not all even. They do have like your jagged edges here and there, and you could really see it like with this. So it did a good job, but like that's the edge of the brush, as is this. The edge of the brush was not going to create, no matter how hard I tried, it wasn't going to create like a perfect square because the bristles couldn't do that. Because the bristles are not compacted like that. You may not care about that, and the way that I'm going to be using these, I won't care either. I will probably use these just with acrylics and just on more abstract paintings. So I don't need to have like really, really fine tipped like this, like fine tipped brushes. But if you are someone who wants to have like really versatile brushes, these may not be for you. Let me know in the comments down below, which do you prefer? Do you prefer natural bristle brushes or synthetic brushes? Also, let me know what your favorite brand of paintbrushes is. I would love to hear from you. That is it for today's video. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your day with me. I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in another video that YouTube should be recommending now.